afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the TraderMerlin Show. It is your Monday edition, a victorious Monday. Of course, you guys know I'm a 49ers fan, which is good news for me because my 49ers dismantled the Rams. I love it. We didn't dismantle them. We just beat them. Anyway, hope you all had a good trading session out there. We got my dates right, got my numbers right. Should be good. Today's show, it's not really... I titled it Damage Control just because when you get exercise options and they're now in your account, there's that moment of, okay, now I got to figure out what to do with these shares that are newly in my account. So I'll walk you through a little bit of what I did today on those, as well as, I guess, follow up. I wasn't planning on doing a follow-up show, but I had a question from a viewer asking me to follow up on the picks that we did on Friday. I certainly don't want to get in the habit of like doing the picks and then review every day. We'll come to some happy medium there, unless you guys really want that type of thing, and we can do that as well. So let me give you the graphic here. It's Monday Damage Control, as I'm calling this one. I'm going to start with just the positions that I had and see what we did there. So I had IWM shares, which I sold at 185 put options. As you guys can see, obviously today we're down below 185. On that, I did not do any defensive stuff with regards to selling a call against my position. I actually closed the position altogether earlier in the day just because I already have puts open, and I felt at this point it's kind of a conflict of interest for myself because I've got puts betting it's going to go down, and then I'm also along the underlier. That doesn't really work for me. So I still have more conviction that we're most likely going to be heading lower here. Therefore, I did close out my long IWM position, so that position is now flat, and that's one. The other one that was assigned was SLV. And so I've got multiple positions in silver. I think you guys, for those who follow me, know that kind of story. I've got a bunch of silver. I had, how much in this account? I think in this one it was 20 or 40. I can't remember which account, but I think it actually was 40 in this one, but I'll have to go check. 40 means 4,000 shares, which now means I have damage control on silver. Those original puts were sold at a strike price of $21.50. As you can see right now, we're trading at $21.30. I did sell the 22 calls against this, so I'll put a line right up here at 22. Actually, let me take that one down. We'll leave the 21.50s on here. That's the original price, and then the new one, which will be the takeaway price, is 22. So that got me, the 22s got me a little over 1%. It was like 1.4% for the next 30 days. Now, I do think silver is going to have a nice rally here, but what typically happens is you get these big swings up and down. So I did the 22s. I knew I would get at least 1.1% rate of return for the month. Plus, if the underlier did rally from there, from 21.50 up to 22, I'd also make 50 cents on that underlier, which would give me another $2,000 on top of that extra 1.4%. So that was what I did there just for damage control on silver and on the IWM trade. Dumped IWM, still holding the puts, but got rid of my long position and still going to hold my long silver with some calls against it. There you go. Just so you know, yeah, all right, Jimmy, go Niners. Actually, it was a great game. I don't know if anybody... If you're a sports fan this weekend, there were a couple really good games. Number one, of course, the 49ers game because we won. But the Colorado State game was awesome. That was such a great football game, double overtime. Oh, man, that was just a fantastic game to watch. It was funny. It ended at like 11:30 p.m. California time. So, I mean, that was late. It was poor East Coasters. But I don't know how you guys live out there dealing with sports on a Monday, especially. You got a doubleheader tonight. You're going to be up till like 2 in the morning. And anyone see an F-35 jet? I'm waiting for the code there. Actually, you know what? There is the Huntington Beach Air Festival. I think it's called the Breitling Air Festival out here in California. If you are around, that is an amazing air show. And I do believe that they have an F-35 going to be flying in that one. There's a couple really new super high-tech fighter jets they're going to be bringing out for that. So pretty excited about that. All right, let me go into... the questions that came through. So, yeah, Larry, that Giants game, that was crazy. They were written off, man. I thought it was over. They're getting annihilated. And then, bam, all of a sudden came back and won. That was pretty impressive. And your Giants are going to play my Niners this Thursday. Oh, yeah. So John says, please follow up with your trade picks from Friday. Again, I don't want to make a habit of this unless it's something you guys really want. I think I had like 5, maybe 6 different ones. I think DR Horton was one of them. We had Excelsior. We had Duke Energy and NI. I only took 2 of those today. It's all in the news. Oh, really? Huh? No, I didn't know that. I'll have to check that one out. A missing F-35 jet, huh? Wow. Oops. Hope that all turns out okay. Of course, right as you say that, I'm hearing jets fly around. Of course, I live by the airport. Anyway, let me go into just some of those picks, and I'll run through I'll run through them all real quick just so you guys can see it. DHI did not take this one today. It just tiptoed above it, but I wasn't really focusing on that one. I actually had my eyes set on two others, which did hit. One of them did not. If you look at Northrop Grumman, right, Northrop we had slated as a potential short trade here. It gapped up and just kept on running. So, whatever. That one, write it off. No big deal. Doesn't matter. The other one was EXC. Now, I did not make a trade on EXC either. I'm just kind of going through the two. I kind of wish I did because it looks like it's rolling over. Although it had a pretty nice pop-up here near the end. You can see a lot of these ones we're going to look at here did have a nice bottoming tail on them, especially Exelon. All right, one that I did make, that was going to be NI. NI! We are the Knights of NI. Still in this one, so I had an alert set at 27.63. Ended up getting it at 27.61. I like it a lot more when it was down here at 27.40. Still in it, positive a few cents right now. Really not that big of a deal. I think I'm only up like 6 cents or something. Well, I kept this one open just because, again, I think you're going to have a flatter day tomorrow, and then the volatility, I do believe, will start to kick up on Wednesday when we have the FOMC announcement. So holding that one, my stop loss is going to be above the tail of Friday's session, which would give you a stop loss. Above 28 is my stop loss on this bad boy. So I got about 40-something cents worth of risk on it. All right, so there's the NI. And then the last one that I'm in, there's your Duke Energy. This one was great up to a point, and then all of a sudden, I'll show you the intraday chart here. It just came screaming back up, and I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. Either way, this one I'm down on right now. My entry price on this was $94.92. It's currently $94.96, so I'm down 4 cents on that one. But look at the rally this bad boy had near the end of the day. It was just crazy. Nice spot. It erased all my gains in a 5-minute window of time for Duke Energy. Anyway, I'm still in those two. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And my stop loss is above that $96 level, just the peak from Friday. So there you go, John. Wanted to make sure I got to your questions on those trades. Hope that helps. And I'm not going to be doing that kind of pick thing every day. It was a question that came through on Friday. I thought I would do it, but if you guys want, let me know, and maybe I will incorporate that more into the show, where I'll look at a specific setup for myself that I might be making as a trade and walk you through kind of what I've done. But you have to tell me. You can email me if you're watching the archives of this and can't participate, because it seems like we had a lighter audience here today. So you can email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com or anything down below the YouTube video. What's Tom say? The good guys won in Colorado, not so much in LA. I just heard a good nickname for Sen. Oh, wow. You're going to have to, you want to make a wager there, Tom? I'm happy to take my 49ers any day. You pick a team. We're going to beat them. Pick it, pal. I don't know if the good guys necessarily won, but they were both good teams. There were some cheap shots done by Colorado State, but other than that, it's a really good game. All right, so that was the trade picks from Friday. Let me go through our top 7, or top 8. I'll run through those real quick just so we can kind of set a bearing here. We did have some nice news in the crypto space with some rally. We're up above 27,000 for a minute on Bitcoin, and we came back down. So let's start at the bottom, work our way to the top, and then I got 2 or 3 other questions I want to get to before we wrap up the day. We should keep track of things you are interested in and announce on here. The market has ears, Merlin. Yeah, I know. Market has ears, but again, it's not about boasting about gains. I'm not talking really about gains on it. I'm just saying, here's your entry, stop loss, targets, that type of thing. I know some people are always struggling with finding what to trade. Generally, I prefer to trade the same things over and over and over again because you get a familiarity with them. But I also run scans and filters that I'm looking at chart patterns, which is probably one of my favorite things to look for is chart patterns. And that's kind of what I was doing on Friday. I kind of ran a scan and looked through, found 5 or 6 things that I thought were interesting. Doesn't mean that they're going to be trades, right? Especially with like Northrop Grumman. A no trade, non-event, big deal, move on. But some of the other ones did come to fruition, and we'll see if they actually pan out in anything in the long run. So here's your 10-year for today. Bam, there's the 10-year. As you can see for Monday's session, you actually had this long topping tail. We went actually up over 4.4% for that 10-year today before coming all the way back down. So it may not seem like much, but it was 10 basis points, right? 10 basis points in a very short window of time, in less than 24-hour range of 10 up and then 10 down. That's pretty significant. for the 10-year. Now, if you look at the chart, we did break above that 43.35 mark as we've been anticipating. It was short-lived, however. I still think that we're going to go higher on this 10-year. Again, it just has to deal with the more debt the government has, the higher this yield is going to get because they have to sell more and more bonds to cover that debt, and that could be problematic for the markets. All right, Russell. I still am holding 80 puts at this point on the Russell 2000. I am long those. Again, that is going to be for the November 17th. I will be out by October 17th, if not sooner. But again, my hypothesis is that we will see some pain in our markets here going forward because of the historical significance of September and October. So Russell 2000 now 0.64% today. It's really just kind of feels like it's stuck at this level we were at about, last week, kind of the origin of it. Again, I think that a lot of it's going to be weighed on by Jerome Powell and his comments about the markets going forward. You may have seen 99% probability that we're going to have no change. 99% chance of no change, 1% chance of a rate hike of 25 basis points on Wednesday. Look, last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, the ECB was at 4.25. They were expected to stay at 4.25. Everybody thought they're staying at 4.25, and all of a sudden they jumped into 4.5%. So just because the futures markets are pricing that in, it certainly is a good indication, but it's not foolproof, and it may come out as a surprise. It would be kind of crazy to see a jump of 25 basis points on Wednesday. You want to watch the markets go crazy? We'll talk about that when we get to Wednesday's session. So, if you look at the dollar index, there's your Dixie, rolled over just slightly today, right? And I was surprised we didn't see more upside move for the markets. Again, there's usually an inverse relationship between the dollar index and the equity indexes. There's a disconnect going on as we speak, but slight little rollover. If we start to get below the 104.50 mark, then I'll start to be a little bit concerned about this, but I still think that dollar is trending to the upside. Trend is your friend to the bend at the end. S&P. All right, dumped my S&P last week, unfortunately, and it came flying down on Friday's session, but it's okay. We closed at 4,501 today, just barely up 0.08%. So no big, nothing really noteworthy there for the S&P 500. NASDAQ, ta-da! Same really picture as the S&P. It was up 0.14%, closing at 15,414. Crude oil. Still bullish on crude oil, even though we have this little hesitation today. Spinning top, small topping tail, and bottoming tail on that with a small real body. That's what a spinning top formation is. $90.58, down 0.21%. Now, I did have a question from somebody saying, what's the probability of you seeing oil over 100 by the end of the year? I would say probability is pretty damn good. Just look at the overall trend we have right now, and I will... let's just look for this trend that started back here in June, right? Go to June to where we are, or we peaked at today. You're looking at an increase of $24 per barrel for the price of oil. Right, we've gone from a low right on 67 all the way up to a high right on 91.36. So at this moment in time, we're $9.42 away from that. It's not that far off. I mean, it's actually pretty darn close. From current price levels where we are right now, it's roughly a 10% move. And as you know, 10% move for crude oil is nothing, especially with what's going on with OPEC, OPEC Plus, Russia, Saudi Arabia. If I had to put in a probability, you guys type it in the chat. What do you think? What's the percent chance that at some point between today, September 18th, and December 31st, at some point in that window of time, what would you say your probability is that we will at some point exceed $100? Doesn't mean we finish the year above 100, but we'll break that at least at some point over the next 3 months. What do you guys think? What's your probability there? If you had to say, I give it a 10% chance, a 90% chance, what do you guys think? I'm going to type mine into chat right now, and I'll leave it there, and I'm just going to hit enter once you guys have said a few numbers, because I always like to be at the end of it all, but I've got my number as to what I think the probability is of us having oil over $100 at some point by the end. John says 100%, guaranteeing it, huh? I can't have that strong a conviction, because remember, the higher that this goes, the more likely you're going to see the U.S. government start to manipulate it a little bit, influence it, say, hey, knock it off. How about you increase production? We'll give you something if you increase production, because American people are going to start to get more and more pissed off because the price of oil is now over $6. It's nuts. Tom went 98.6. You're gonna go. We're gonna go the human body temperature probability. All right, 70s, 80s. Larry says 40. So Larry and Oliver said 40. So did Ricardo. Here's mine. Bam. I'm going 80. I think there's a pretty good chance. Again, I'm a firm believer. You guys at this point know me well. The trend is your friend to the bend at the end. That trend is no longer drifting down like it was since the beginning of March of 2022. It's not only not trending down, but it's based sideways and now starting to challenge some highs. So really, I think we're at an inflection point on this right now. If we can get above these previous highs we saw from back in October of 2022 and from November, then I think you got a fairly smooth jaunt up to 100. So I would say 80% chance. By the end of the year, we'll see it over 100. I know it seems nuts, but it's really not that far away. Pete the Trader says 25% chance, huh? You're not thinking there's a good odd there. Larry says, exactly, they will drive it down. Certainly, it will become political. I don't think there's any argument there that if this thing gets over $100, and think of the psychology of it. As most of you know, trading is predominantly psychology, manipulation, and movement on different parts. So if we get over 100, you know that all the headlines on Yahoo and MSNBC and CNBC, all they'll be talking about is crude oil over 100, and then that'll inspire more animosity on the part of Americans, and our government will start to talk to OPEC and Saudi Arabia and say, hey, listen, we'll do something good for you if you just increase production just a little bit to get us over the hump. How much reserves does Brandon have in the tank? He's got quite a few reserves, but it'll be more political. I think it'll be more of that, if you do this for us, we'll do this for you. And I think Saudi Arabia knows that, and they're kind of holding out. Now, of course, Russia will sit in the back and be constantly against whatever the U.S. wants. So we can rule out Russia being supportive or helping out in any way. And again, if I was an oil-producing country like Saudi Arabia or Russia, I've mentioned this one many times, it's in my interest that I sell as few barrels of oil as possible at the highest price possible so that I have longevity of my oil supply. If I keep mass production, I'm going to run out. When I was over in Dubai, gosh, I forget when I was there, I want to say it was 6 or 7 years ago. When I was in Dubai, I was talking to some traders out there, and they were saying, listen, our, I think his name is Mohammed Al bin Salam, was kind of the king of Dubai or leader of Dubai. And he made some statements that they know their oil is going to run out. They know it. It's just a matter of time before they no longer have oil. So what he has done over the years is built out infrastructure, built an amazing city, trying to set up something so when that inevitable flow of oil stops for them, they've got something to fall back on. International business hub and low taxes and trade, whatever. Other countries may not be doing that same thing. So good for Dubai for planning ahead. But if I'm any one of those countries, it's in my best interest to cut production, drive the price of oil up as high as possible, and hopefully it doesn't start a war in the process. What do we have in reserves? Not sure what we have right now in reserves. We could probably dig down there. No oil left. I don't know if it's not completely depleted. I don't believe it's completely depleted. One of the reserves we used to, and that's true. We don't have the reserves we used to. We could, I'm not sure on that one. I have to get John Rowland back on the program. That's his area of focus, not mine. So on that note, we talk about, actually, I'm not even done. I still have 2 more to get to. I got to do Bitcoin and gold before we wrap up here. Let's go. So next on our list, silver, as we already saw, had a nice pop today. I'm hoping that continues up here. I still believe that this longer term chart of gold, even though I'm bullish long term, it does feel somewhat bearish. Now, we did rally up today to the tune of about 0.37% for gold, but I've had this kind of descending triangle formation out here for a while now. I'm going to leave it till it's no longer valid, but not the best looking picture, although seeing a rally up to that 160 mark probably would not be any sort of stretch to anybody's imagination there. And finally, Bitcoin. Now, it's selling off a little bit now, but we had a nice little pop in Bitcoin. We were at 25,000 just a couple of days ago. Here are now we were at 27,000 just a couple hours ago, which is great. But again, that picture is not that great. We're making lower lows, lower highs. So all in all, not great for Bitcoin, although there were quite a few. If you look here at my list on the right-hand side of your screen, there were quite a few, big gainers out there. Chainlink, up 7%. I have quite a few Chainlink tokens as well. Cosmos, Engine, Solana was another big mover today. Even with that news of big selling potentials from FTX exchange, Solana rebounding off some of that recent sell-off as well. So there we go. And there is your top 8. All right. Now, let me go to a different topic here, slightly different. So I saw this question come through and I had to look it up because I was like, wait a minute. There was no deal. Mark says, does Tesla's deal with Saudi Arabia hurt or help Tesla? There is no deal. There's nothing been done here. You caught me off guard because like, oh crap, what did Tesla do with Saudi Arabia? This has not been anything new. Tesla is being wooed by Saudi Arabia to build a factory over there. And Saudi Arabia is saying, hey, if you move a factory over here or build a factory here, obviously that's good for Saudi Arabia. It's jobs, it's employment, a little bit of a regional stability. But they also said, hey, if you do this, Tesla, we will give you a lot of the materials that you need for production of different parts for your vehicles. Now, the deal is not done. I think that it will probably, it's tough. Is this good or bad for Tesla? Personally, I would say for Tesla itself, it's probably good because you're now distributing your footprint and not becoming reliant on one geographical area of the world. So you'll get some factories in China, you got some in the US, you'll get some in Mexico, you'll get some in different parts of the world. Will probably be a good thing. The big issue, I would say, is from a political perspective, does the US or other governments, probably mainly the US, look down upon Tesla for partnering with Saudi Arabia? Now, it shouldn't because we're on somewhat decent terms with Saudi Arabia, but we've talked about this quite a bit in the past, which is if that dollar world reserve currency status starts to get tarnished, then Saudi Arabia is going to move to whatever that new currency is and switch things over. And that could create a big rift. If that happens, now does the U.S. look down a little bit on Tesla? I don't know. All in all, Mark, I would say it's probably a good thing for Tesla to build another factory in a different part of the world, particularly in areas where they can get great concessions for doing so. They're probably going to negotiate some great tax treatment. They're probably going to get a lot of resource help. You got cheap labor. So all in all, Tesla probably is going to be rewarded for this. So I think in the long run, it's probably going to be good for Tesla. I see where you're coming from with the difficulty of it, and does it maybe hurt things from a political perspective? Yes, but at this point, I would probably be still looking long-term bullish on Tesla, even though you're hearing more about them doing another round of price cuts for their vehicles, which is just going to hurt their profit margins. But again, it squishes out the competition. All hail Elon. I don't know if I'm going to say that. He's kind of a nut job. He's crazy, but I do respect a lot of the things he's doing, and I like the fact that he DGAF, right? He doesn't give a hoot what other people say, and I respect that a lot. PTCT, we already covered this one. The PTCT at demand. Someone was saying PTCT is at demand. Oh, yeah, that was the other day. Yeah, and this is why you don't buy those things. At PTC Therapeutics, we looked at it on Friday after that giant gap down, and we said, no, wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Well, it's down another 7.54% on the session, so there you go. No, wouldn't touch it. And is that it? I think I got through all my questions. 1 second, I'm just scrolling through here to make sure I got all the questions answered. Yep, followed up with my trade picks. We got that one going. All right, perfect. All right. Merlin, you were right about UPS, was I? I'm right and wrong a lot, man. I don't know. What was I? Oh, wow. Yeah, they haven't looked back, have they? Since they, there was that day. I think this is the day, and I thought it would hurt their bottom line. And boy, wow, that's an ugly chart. Down $30. You're down almost 20% from where that deal happened. Ouch. Not looking good. And keep in mind, if this is what's happened with UPS since they negotiated this stellar deal for their employees, keep in mind, we also have Ford and GM also going through an issue right now with their striking employees, which apparently is at an impasse. Is XLK better than the QQQ? It's more focused. So when you look at XL or you look at triple Qs, what you have is 100, I think it might be 103 companies in that ETF, right? 1 second. I'm going to bring up the XLK. XLK is just much more refined. So when you buy triple Qs, you're getting a lot of that. You're getting Apple and Microsoft and Intel and all that stuff. But what you're getting is a smattering of other companies as well. So maybe you want nothing to do with pharmaceuticals or biotech, right? That would be removed from that if you go XLK. Now, it depends on which one. So like Intuitive Surgical kind of crosses that line. It's not pharmaceutical. It's robotics, which might be on the tech side. So one way you can find out less, it's actually kind of, I like doing this because I'm a dork. You can go here to bar chart, type in XLK in their search. And then you can go down to the left-hand side. It shows the constituents, and you can kind of do a compare contrast. This is going to be much more of a pure technology play. And notice you're basically getting the same thing as triple Qs. 23% of this is Microsoft, 21.5% of it is Apple. So you're really 44% in one security, or in two securities. That's kind of crazy to me. Other than that, I would say there's less than 100 in here. It looks maybe like 40. So you maybe have 30 or 40 different tech stocks in there. We can, here it goes. Number of holdings, 69. So you go from 100, you cut out a bunch of other pieces, and you're saying predominantly with tech firms, you got 69. Now, if I go triple Qs, do the same thing, you have 101 different components in there. So you've thrown out some stuff that's not necessarily tech. That's pretty much the difference. I did not check about their CBDC session. I'm making a note right here because I did not. CBDC. It might be an outside party that's doing that. I'm not sure. Not sure on that one. Anyway, I'm actually in the process of writing another article. I've been really bad about it. I just have writer's block. Plus, I'm trying to write my book and other things. It's taking me forever. I'm doing one on GameStop. You guys know there's a new movie coming out which looks hilarious. It looks great. For those who were here back in 2020 watching this program when GameStop was going through its meme phase and going through the roof, we had Corey Lane talking about the gamma squeeze based off that. So you had the short squeeze of GameStop, then all of a sudden come in the options gamma squeeze, and that thing just went through the roof. Great. Awesome. Now it's down 84%, and I got a couple questions from people saying, is now a time to buy GameStop? And you know my view on GameStop. I think it's dead in the water. I think it's a dodo. However, let's take a peek at GME here real quick. If you haven't had a chance, go look at the trailer for, it's called Dumb Money. It's released this Friday in the United States. It's, who knows how close it is, but it's supposed to be a true story about what happened with GameStop, and I'm wanting to see how they portray the hedge funds, because the trailer makes it look like the hedge funds are these greedy fat cat scumbags who don't give a crap about the average person, and that's kind of my thoughts as well. So here's GameStop down to $17. Looking at where it was up over 120, and here we are at 17. It's down 84% off those peaks. I still am strongly in the belief that this thing is going the way of the dodo. There will be a closure of stores. Now, for a trivia question for you guys, at its peak, no looking up on the internet right now, but at its peak, how many Blockbuster video stores were there around the world? Kind of an interesting one. And I incorporate this in my article just because I think it's following the same path, right? You might remember that on Friday nights or whatever night it was, you'd run down to Blockbuster with your family and everything and go pick out a few movies that last you the weekend or just the evening. Set the tone. You want to be scared? You got the horror section over here. You got your romance section. You got all kinds of different, realities we can give ourselves. Blockbuster was awesome. But then Netflix came along in the 90s and started to slowly chip away at that. And now nobody goes to video stores anymore. You don't even have a DVD player. It's all streamed. And it literally killed that entire business. Now, there is actually one Blockbuster still open today that's in Bend, Oregon. It's apparently got to keep the title and the rights, whatever, who knows. But there's one left today. At its peak, there was over 9,000 Blockbuster videos around the world. Just let that sink in. They went from 9,000 stores, Larry looked it up. Cheater, Larry, cheater! 9,000 Blockbusters to one. And I think that you're going to see the same basic thing happen with GameStop. I think it's 57% of their revenue comes from selling game consoles like Xbox, like PlayStation. And honestly, if I'm going to buy one of those things today, I'm going to go to Amazon. I'm going to look at the search. I'm going to just search around on Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart. I'll do a quick search, find a deal day, and buy my thing then. I'll buy my Xbox that day. I'm not going to go to GameStop, which is going to give me a retail price. I want a deal, and I want it delivered, and I don't want to go to the store. Maybe 5 years ago, it was cool to go to the video store and pick out the games, but now gaming companies don't even issue DVDs anymore. I mean, some do, but the vast majority they just download or stream or do everything online. So, yeah, I'm pretty adamant that GameStop is going to die. Now, that said, if you look at the movie that's coming out, which is called Dumb Money, it's going to cause a big surge. Not a big surge. I think it could cause a surge in GameStop stock. Why? Because the world is full of sheeple, and they're going to go out there, watch this movie, and go, oh, GameStop, wow. And I think it may bring in some new buyers. So I'd be interested to see what happens with GameStop over the next couple weeks after this movie rolls out. I have a feeling it's going to get pretty good reviews. The trailer looked really good. Tom says Redbox did Blockbuster in. Hey, you laugh, bud. I actually loved Redbox. I went to Redbox all the time because they kept giving me coupons. It was like, hey, if you buy one video, we'll give you 2 videos and a game for free. I'm like, okay, it's $1.50 for a night. Great, I'm in. It was COVID. I'll just curl up on the couch and watch some movies. So I think you might get a pop in GameStop. If it does, I don't know if I can bring myself to just outright short it in the long haul. I just, I want to. I really do. Maybe I'll buy some Leaps if there's some, or sell some Leaps. Anyway, I'm not sure. I just think it's going out of business. I think they're done, which my article will convey that. All right, let's go to your calendars for hoji. Yeah, AMC, we've had this discussion before, Margaret. Like, if I had to put those two side by side and say which one I think is going to make it, AMC. Just because I think movie theaters are still a part of our culture. A video game store where you go buy all that stuff, it's replaced already. It's replaced by any online retailer and now streaming games. So yeah, I think GameStop is dodo dead. I think that AMC has a chance to make it, although I personally don't like to go to movies. I just can't stand people on their phones and just the rudeness in a movie theater, so forget it. All right, here's your calendar. The 18th, well, we had, what's the good stuff? Let's go to Tuesday. Here's your upcoming calendar. For Canada, you got a couple CPI numbers coming out. For the U.S., building permits and housing starts are probably the most important piece of the day. And again, it's nice to have a kind of a calm before we get to anything real wild, which is going to start to happen on Wednesday when Jerome Powell speaks, not only at his announcement, but the press conference afterwards. So really just 2 announcements here for the U.S. That's going to be building permits and housing starts. And other than that, you see some red factories here, which are important ones, but China, I don't even really care what China says with their rates or numbers. I don't trust it. But I do want to keep an eye on this British pound. Their CPI numbers are coming out. Now, their CPI is still at 7%. Mind you, ours has dropped significantly. We're down in the 3s. There is at year over year 7%. So this may lead to more rate increases by the UK at upcoming meetings. Now, I thought that the UK as well as the European Union started hiking rates way too late. Much later than the U.S. did. And that's clearly indicated by their current inflation number. So I would expect to see the UK continue to raise rates, which could put pressure on their currency markets. Let's bring up the British pound over here since I have the functionality. There's your GBP. You can see that British pound has been sinking pretty good. It was up over 131 back in July. Now we're down at 123. And big picture-wise, yeah, I see you're coming near a demand zone right around, not even a strong one, but down around 123. And after that, you got some pretty big fall to go. So all in all, British pound looking very weak, and a lot of that having to do with their rates. They are going to keep, hopefully they keep raising rates, which should help their currency. But right now, they are not. All right, let me see what I got. Last minute question. Gaming isn't going away. There should be a way for GameStop to pivot. I 100% agree with you. So in the article that I write, I mentioned the console sales are where they get over 50% of their revenue comes from selling Xbox, selling PlayStation, selling Switch. But anybody who's smart is going to know about economies of scale and say, okay, who can buy the most Xboxes at once so they can get a cheaper price by buying in bulk, and therefore I can save money by buying from them. That's Walmart. That's Amazon. That's Best Buy. GameStop may be able to get that kind of bulk quantity, but for them, it's a pretty big risk. You're just this one little game store. So if that's over 50% of the revenue, I think that is in jeopardy. The second piece where they get, I believe, 23% of their revenue was from, 27% of the revenue was from software sales, selling physical games. Now, unless you have, like me, an old one that I can go to the store and get secondhand games, The new stuff there, you don't really have that. It's all download directly from the site, or you just pay a subscription service through your Xbox or your PlayStation, and you just play everything online. You'll never download anything. If that is in fact the trend and that keeps going, then that whole arm of business for GameStop is done, right? So I don't know how they pivot there. And so I'm addressing those three. You're right, Tom. If I'm management, I've got to pivot. They've got $1.16 billion in cash and only $650 million worth of debt. So all in all, they're not that bad financially. It's just that business segment that they're in is dying, which is selling physical devices, accessories, controllers, and then games. The third slice is where I think they make it up. And right now it's a small percentage. I off the top of my head, I want to say it was like 18 or 16%. And that was collectibles. They sell all these unique collectible game figurines and things like that. I think that that's one of the areas where they can make it up. Starts having events. I mentioned this before when we talked about it in 2020. For me, what should happen is they should start doing online gaming events in the GME centers. You got all these physical centers all over the place, right? Have gaming events. Have competitions where you give out a $50,000 prize, right? You get one $50,000 prize, but how do you play? You got to go to the GameStop centers to play. And they set up 20 workstations in each of their centers, and they all connect, and you have this GameStop network of gaming, and it's pay to play. You got to pay per hour or whatever it is to play. Now I think you start generating a different revenue stream, right? So you create your own gaming network. Yes, you're playing some game online that you're not getting a cut of the revenue from. And you might even be able to go to somebody like, League of Legends, right? And say, hey, League of Legends, I'm GameStop. I've got 1,000 offices around the United States, 1,000 centers. I'm going to turn each one of those into a gaming hub. And if you sponsor it by giving us $500,000, we'll make this tournament a League of Legends tournament, right? So now you're incentivizing one of the gaming companies to promote you, and now you turn your center into a gaming hub where all the kids, it's like, think of it like the local arcade. But now you're going to an arcade where you can potentially win money, and that's your carrot. You get a $50,000 grand prize. I think that is the way, one of the ways to help create a new revenue stream for GameStop would be to make these things a network-connected gaming center, right? Like the arcades were. I remember I loved getting a roll of quarters and just going down to the local arcade, right? I knew I could just play games for a while because back then games were actually 25 cents. Now they're like $3 to play a game of pinball. It's ridiculous. But if that was one of my suggestions to the board, that's what I would say. Because e-gaming is huge, but also it's not just that they're gaming. It's now you've incentivized them with prizes. Monetary prizes do wonders for getting people to come into your center. Just look at the sales, what they do for Walmart on Black Friday. It's monetary incentivization. So you do that with gaming, I think you'll start to fill those centers. You'll have gamers there all the time, competitions all the time, and now all of a sudden revenue starts to grow. Maybe while they're in the store, they're buying the new collectibles for the game or whatever the case may be. But yeah, who knows? I don't work for GameStop, but yeah, you're right. I see a couple comments in here saying they have to differentiate themselves or reinvent themselves. Absolutely. Or they're done, right? Blockbuster, if Blockbuster was smart, they would have pivoted and done Blockbuster online and put much more effort into that and actually butted heads with Netflix and taken over. It's almost like Kodak, right? Kodak had one of the first digital cameras, but they just never pursued it. And Kodak actually pivoted and said, hey, digital is the way to go, and really focused on making their camera the best for the markets. They would have dominated that marketplace. Instead, they didn't, and now Kodak, it's kind of a joke nowadays. Let's see. I did love the arcade, especially when the big one they closed down. Yeah, I'm an arcade fan. Let's see. Gaming isn't going away, I agree. Do I have to be over 17 to see Dumb Money, or can I sneak in? I think you do have to be 17 or older. Tom, you're a child anyway, right? They should sell used gaming boxes. They probably do. I actually, when I got my PlayStation 4, I went in there because I like buying secondhand games anyway. They're like, 1/4 the cost, and they guarantee them, so fine. Oliver says subscription is the way of the future. Xbox is already working on that. Yep. Xbox has already done it. You've got Xbox Live, right? You pay that subscription fee. No need to download anything. Yeah, it's maybe they should look to be acquired by a company that went from physical products to streaming. Netflix. Yeah, but what Netflix? What are they going to do? Is Netflix going to do streaming gaming? I don't know how that's going to work. All right, let's see. Pet Peter Pizzas. They should switch their model to be more like Uber Uber for games, renting all kinds of consoles and getting in. Yeah, that's another idea, right? You rent out a PlayStation for the week. It's $50 for a weekend or something. Yeah, that would be an interesting idea. But is there that much money in it, right? Would they make that much money? It seems logistically it might be more problematic because the Xbox and the PlayStations are expensive items. Might run into some problem there. They could be acquired by Microsoft to use to sell boxes, copies of Windows. Yeah, I don't think if I'm a company, I'd look to acquire them. I think that the only way that I would be looking to acquire a GameStop if I'm a company is what's their core competency and how does that integrate into my company? And their core competency is a dying market. I agree with Tom 100%. They are not. Gaming's not going away. Gaming's just going to evolve, right? But it's the delivery mechanism to these games. Now, it's interesting seeing a lot of my friends that are, Xbox and PlayStation gamers. They're actually going back to the PC, going back to their personal computer to play. I'm like, whatever. Who knows? Not a big gamer myself. The death of the mall is killing GameStop. Yeah, it certainly is hurting them. Blockbuster and Kodak, Nokia were sad stories. Well, were they sad stories? They were just experiences, right? They're just examples that we learn from, which is why I'm so adamant that GameStop's going under. I think the Blockbuster had all the opportunity. They actually did have Blockbuster online. You could rent the DVDs online, but they never did streaming. So, at that point, when you're as big as Blockbuster with 9,000 offices around the world, you look at what Netflix is doing and you hire either people away from Netflix, because at the time Blockbuster was bigger and had more money. You hire people away from Netflix to help set that infrastructure up, or you bring in some, expert in licensing and royalties for films and movies and you build it all yourself. Blockbuster dropped the ball. They should have absolutely dominated and kicked Netflix out. Unfortunately, they didn't. AIT seems to now have adopted a monthly subscription plan. Yeah, that... don't know. I know there is some stuff that is that way. Smash and grab of the death. Yep, Larry. Oh, man. Don't get me started on that one. That one's... I was having a conversation with a friend over the weekend about that. It's like, if you saw a group of people just walk into... Let's say it's GameStop. You're at the mall, you're at a store, and you see like a bunch of people run into a store and grab everything and run out. What would you do? What would you do? Like... I'm an idiot. I would have probably grabbed and tackled at least one of them on the way to the ground, even though it doesn't impact me in any way, shape, or form, and I should probably just let it go. It's safer. There's that I guess, I don't know if patriot's the right word, but there's that part of me that's like, this is wrong, and you people need to be punished. I wish that there was more that the store owners could do. If you're being robbed like that, could you wield a baseball bat and start clubbing people as a store owner? I wish they could. I really do. Anyway. I'll leave that one alone before I start offending you guys with my totalitarian Code of Hammurabi views. An eye for an eye, right? You steal from me, I'm stealing from you. At least make the ramifications bad for people if they get caught. There's really nothing. No punishment for these guys. All right, so we did your economic calendar. Earnings is nothing for tomorrow. It really kicks off on Wednesday. So that's going to do it for me for today. I will wrap up here. And morality. People are losing touch with their morals. I saw a video of a woman yelling at the guy who was trying to stop her. Crazy. Yeah, I saw one where this lady had a shopping cart backed up to her car, and she's literally just stealing thousands of dollars worth of meat. And so this lady's recording her. Don't you have any shame? Don't you feel bad? It's like, man, different society. Until the rules changed. Shove the last smash and grab her into something solid near the door. It would be fun. It would be until that person does something, turns around and shoots you, right? I mean, the safest thing to do is just go, it's not bugging me. I'll tell you, you come to my house, that's going to be a totally different story. All right, everybody, enough. The vigilantism of Merlin is going to stop today. We're going to move away from that. Anyway, that's the show for today. I have not looked at having any guests in the program, which I know you guys are dying for and want me to bring on some new people. So I will look into that. I have a couple people that I do want to bring on. I just haven't reached out because I've been so dang busy. If you guys have comments, questions, feedback, send them on in at TraderMerlin@gmail.com or down below any of the YouTube videos. I didn't look at it, all of them today. I saw just the Friday show, but I will go back through the old ones and see what I did not answer. And put it in my slides so I can get those questions answered for you. I think tomorrow will be a relatively quiet day as we embrace the Jerome Powell FOMC meeting on Wednesday. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you all mañana. Take care.